was out of state on a trip, traveling alone, and having to go through states that didn't reciprocate my weapon permit. Instead of a gun crime, I settled for a knife crime by getting the largest spring-loaded blade I could fit in my pocket. I'm smaller than many teenagers, and female, so I figure I can get off easy if it becomes an issue. It's almost 3 a.m. I'm running out of gas. I've already tried 3 exits in a row. Why do so many gas stations close their pumps when they close? I don't have signal to search for an open gas station. Fuck you, mountains. 4th exit, I finally found a station that's closed but left its pumps on so I can use my card. The area around the pumps are lit, but everything past the glow is pitch black, only a silver moon that night. I'm hunched up at my tank. I'm filling up so I don't need to watch the total. I'm scanning the edge of darkness because I'm completely alone in a strange place. From around the edge of some car wash building at the corner of the lot, a rail-thin, tall, scraggly man comes out, making a line straight for me. He's dirty all over, wrinkly clothes like he just woke up. He half-steps as he notices I see him and he smiles. Full-on meth-mouth teeth missing and rotting on each edge, so the ones there are more like dirty nubs. One hand is in his dirty jacket, like he's hiding something. He starts walking faster, like an almost half-jog, right towards me. Nope, nope, nope. I pull out my knife, and in the silence of the night it makes a nice loud as it opened. I call out loudly at an almost yell. Not another step. Whatever you want, I have nothing for you but steal, so back the fuck off. He skipped to a stop about 15 feet away and looks at the blade I'm pointing at him and says, "Oh, feisty one. Next time, sweetie. Next time." Blows me a nasty kiss and he turns around laughing like a crazy person. I scramble to get the nozzle out of my car while glancing around watching for him to come back or circle around. I jumped back in my car and sped away as fast as I humanly could. When I was about 6 or 7, we had this neighbor that would regularly try to invite me over for cake and candy, or to play with the dogs he owned. My parents didn't trust him, so of course, invites were declined. Years later, we learned that he regularly raped his 12-year-old stepdaughter and got her pregnant. When he went to trial, it was revealed that there were 4 other young girls in his past that he had abused. That guy used to decorate his house like a haunted mansion every Halloween, and kids would go crazy for it. I'm so glad that my parents wouldn't allow me to go there. When I was 3, our home was broken into. The burglar stole money off of my parents' dresser and then went into my room and just stared over my sleeping body. I woke up and saw him. My father watched him from his bedroom while calling the police. When the burglar left and the police were there with the lights on, his footprints were in the shag carpet. This is my earliest memory. This next story was in response to an earlier comment. Man, my house was set up in a very similar way, and I have a very similar story. I grew up scared shitless that someone would come up to the glass door at night. We had vertical blinds to block out any prospective peepers, but one night when my folks were out of town, I was up late watching TV on the couch, and all of a sudden, there was 2 loud knocks right on the glass. Of course, my blood goes cold, but I quickly think that maybe one of my friends who knew my parents were out of town snuck out and came over. I work up the courage to go slide open one of the blinds to peek out, fully expecting to see one of my friends. Standing there is some swarthy-looking guy with a mustache just looking in at me. He pulls at the door, but it's locked. I booked my ass straight out of the front door and ran straight to my aunt's house a few doors down. We called the police, and they said there were so many footprints in the snow that he had to have been circling around the house for hours. There was even some footprints on the roof by the master bedroom. This next story is another response from an earlier comment as well. A version of this happened to me once. I'm female. I was 15 to 16 at the time, and it was Halloween. I remember feeling that sense of dread on my way home. The house was 2 stories, but only one had 2 bedrooms. Most of the space was taken by the downstairs. I slept in the living room on a futon. At the far end of the room were glass doors and a patio, no blinds or anything. I was up playing video games pretty late due to the dread feeling and laid down with my computer still on, lighting up the room. Out of nowhere, someone knocks on the glass doors. I ignored them, and it got more frequent and urgent sounding. I was freaked the hell out. I got up without looking at the doors and pretended to sleepy check the front door, then ran up the stairs and hid in the bathroom above the living room. The ventilation system was just holes on the floor and vents over them, so I could see down to the first floor. I tried to wake up my mom and said, "Someone knocked on the door." To which she basically denied that happened and went back to sleep, saying I dreamt it or something. It was quiet for a while. Then the metal spiral stairs into the basement started creaking, and I heard footsteps. By this time my computer had gone to sleep, and it was dark as fuck down there. Next thing I heard was my jar of pennies falling over and spilling coins everywhere. Then more silence. Stairs creaked again. Intruder left. Spooked by spare change. I checked the outside door into the basement the next day. Unlocked, of course. I'm named after a notoriously haunted hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, called Crescent Hotel. It's been featured on Ghost Hunters, Monumental Mysteries, and a few others. To understand the significance of my experience, some background is required. Building began in 1884 and was completed in 1886 as a resort. It was host to many decadent parties. The society's elite flocked to the resort to take advantage of the healing waters of the Ozarks and enjoy the most luxurious resort in the country. Once it was realized that the water was not the cure of all ailments, the resort prosperity dwindled. It became a college for a period of time, staying open in the summers as a resort. It was a junior college for a while as well. It sat vacant from 1934 to 1937, when it was opened as a hospital by a fraud by the name of Norman Baker. His elixir was nothing more than the same healing waters that had left many unfulfilled. Baker was caught and sent to prison. The hotel sat empty once again. In 1946 it was purchased and the new owner began to restore it to its beautiful former luxury. In 1967, a fire claimed the entire 5th floor and most of the 4th floor. It was changed hands again many times before in 1997 it was purchased and completely renovated. Keep in mind, at the time I was young and didn't know the history of it other than I was named after it. I also learned that later I was named after it because my mom got pregnant there. I was born in 1983. In those days, information wasn't as readily available as it is now. When I graduated high school in 2001, I had to actually go to Eureka Springs to visit the hotel, utilize the archives of Carroll County to find information on the hotel. Microfilm probably doesn't exist anymore, but I spent hours looking at microfilm, old newspapers, scribbled handwritten index cards to find any information. The first time I went to the hotel, I was 4. My mom went to the bar area to get us something to drink. I saw her talking to someone. When she came back with my Shirley Temple, I asked her who she was talking to. When she asked who I was talking about, I told her the man that looked like his face was on fire. Then the vivid dreams started. I would have dreams in extreme detail of fancy parties with people wearing Victorian-era clothes, and at that time in my life, I had never seen them. When I was 5, we went up to the hotel for dinner after a ballet recital. That night, I dreamt of being in the main lobby of the hotel, and there was a man standing there by the fireplace. He was wearing a tailcoat suit and a top hat. There was a party going on, and I could hear the music. I looked over and was startled by a man in a white suit standing by the window. The suit was more modern looking. I woke up startled. Later, when I saw a picture of Norman Baker, I recognized him immediately as the man from my dream when I was a kid. I'm always drawn to that place, even though it was an hour drive. Anytime I went, strange things would happen. I would have visions of the place as a hospital. I could tell people where everything used to be when it was a hospital. I knew how to set a table in the ballroom when I was 6. I would see and talk to people who apparently weren't there. Mostly nurses. Oddly enough, I'm a nurse now. One time when I was 10, I went there with my cousins. My oldest cousin, who was 16 at the time, dared us to take the elevator to the basement. So the four of us huddle into this tiny, rickety elevator and go down to the basement. It was completely pitch black down there, and we heard someone say, "What are you doing down here?" My cousin kept hitting the first floor button to get us out of there, but it wouldn't move. Finally, the doors closed. We hit the first floor and busted through the doors all breathless, wide-eyed and laughing hysterically that we had just escaped whatever it was down there. In 1997, when it changed hands and they began renovations, my family and I went up there to have high tea in their new tea room. They had renovated the basement into a spa. I went down there and got very upset, saying, "The dead people live here. This isn't fair. Where are the dead people going to live now?" When the hotel was renovated, there was an observation deck so you can look out to see Eureka Springs and a viewing scope to see Christ of the Ozarks. When you look down from the observation deck, there is a garden in the shape of a C and an H. CH were my initials before I was married. The last time I was there, my cousin and I were wandering around where we shouldn't have been. We happened upon an open guest room and heard 50 Styles music coming from the radio. We said, "Hello?" and looked in. No one appeared to be in there. As we were headed back down the hallway, the door slammed shut. May have been someone in there, we just didn't see. But at 16 years old, it was enough to send us running for the exit, and we never went back. I don't have any other creepy experiences, and I don't have weird things happen around me. Only at the haunted hotel I was named after. Don't plan on ever going back there. Ever.